Hello, and welcome back to the second episode of the Spatially Challenged Knitter, which is me.
And friends, which is me, Jen.
And so we introduced ourselves on our first episode. But we live in San Diego, and it is May, and it is our usual. We have May gray, June gloom.
Yeah, don't visit in those months. Everybody thinks that they should come in like start of summer, but you should delay until mid-July.
Yeah,
if you want the heat.
Yes.
Yeah,
we'll get sunny, but we start with morning low clouds and nighttime clouds, and then it happens every day.
Yeah,
and then we get maybe sun for 3 to 4 hours a day, and then it goes back to clouds.
And it's not hot, which is what people expect from San Diego. Right. Yeah, so if you want the heat, you got to wait till July.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with finished objects.
Yeah, perfect. Start? So last episode I explained that I had started with my dishcloths, then made myself a sweater, and then I wanted to make my husband a sweater. So for his sweater, which took forever, it took 6 months because it's so big, his sweater is the thank you. His sweater is the petite knit melange pattern, which actually is supposed to be held double, 2 types of yarn, kind of to look similar to what I'm wearing, like kind of a mottled color. But I didn't want to hold 2 yarns together. I felt that it might get tangled up and whatnot. So I just used a yarn that I really, really love working with. It's Kelbourne Wollens Scout. And it looks black on screen, but it's actually like their navy blue colorway. And it's so pretty in person.
And it's got other colors in it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we bring it up. You know how...
you can see a little bit. It's got flecks of like turquoise and purple. Yeah. It's not as gray as it appears on screen. It's pretty navy.
Very navy.
But it's so pretty. And it was really fun to work with. It's really bouncy. And it went pretty well. It was a different type of construction. You, I don't know what this is called technically, but it's not a raglan. So you work the front and back panels, and then you pick up stitches for the sleeves after you've grafted the 2 together. And so that was a fun learning curve. And it's also a folded neck sweater, which I really like the look of. I think it's a little more durable and kind of looks more finished than my first sweater, which was just a single layer of ribbing. And then in terms of issues, I did have some fit issues. I think that, so my husband was kind of in between sizes for this, and I just didn't know what was best for that because I didn't know how much the yarn would grow, that sort of thing. So in hindsight, I should have sized up for him, but I didn't, and that was okay. It was fixable. But when I held the sweater up to him to see, once it was time to connect in the round for sleeves, it was way too tight under his arm. So I knit longer to accommodate for that, but ended up knitting too long. And so then I didn't want to go backwards and unknit because it was so much work. And so I kind of had this issue of now the armhole is too deep. And I don't want to rip too much out. Is there any sort of solution? So a friend of ours suggested trying the Kitchener stitch by picking up some stitches, knitting a row or 2, however much depth I wanted to remove, and then Kitchener stitching that close. So because it's navy, it's really hard to see, but it was such a genius idea because it's not visible, probably also because it's navy, but it's not very visible, and it meant I didn't have to backtrack. I didn't want to backtrack. So I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of see that. So the sweater should have, you know, stopped here, but here's where the little Kitchener stitch patch is. And it's totally hidden under his arm. You really can't see that when he's wearing the sweater, but it meant that I didn't have to undo it, which was really great. So I kind of have that solution in my back pocket if I ever need it again. But I also learned, you know, maybe if you're in between sizes, err on the side of larger, because you can always, I don't know. In my case, I don't mind a sweater being a little bit larger than tighter. So yeah, so it went really well. And then for the bind offs this time, I did the Italian bind off, and it's really pretty. I really like the look of that. And once you get going, it's not bad. It's just the pattern. I had to write down like the pattern to it. And I definitely messed up in a few places, but you can't tell. Again, it's very dark yarn, so nobody's gonna know. I can't see
Thank
it.
God for dark yarn.
Yeah, exactly. I can't see it, but I remember a few times thinking, oops, that wasn't correct. But it hasn't fallen apart yet, so it's fine. So yeah, that was a big...
We set the bar really high. It hasn't fallen apart yet.
Exactly. It hasn't fallen apart. It's great. It's perfect. So yeah, this was really fun. And the yarn is so soft. It's what I love about it is that it's rustic, but it's not itchy. So it maybe if you're super sensitive at first, but once you've blocked it, it's really soft, and it has that kind of like feel of a grandpa sweater without being rough, you know, without being uncomfortable. So yeah, I really love it. It feels like sort of the knitting you think of that your grandmother did, you know, like old school knitting, which is really nice yarn to work with.
Does he wear a t-shirt underneath it?
Yes. So I'm really proud of him. My husband has taken very good care of this. He is sometimes careless with his things, but
he's knit worthy.
Yeah,
then.
he is knit worthy. Exactly. He appreciates things that others have made for him. So he wears a shirt under it always, and then he takes it off when he gets home before our cat can jump on him and claw. So that's really nice. So yeah, this was a definite win. And I want to make myself a similar sweater, even though my first sweater was kind of sweatshirty. This one, I think if I made something similar for myself, it'd be one that I hold on to kind of forever, you know, and like have it for 50 years and wear it when I go somewhere cold.
Well, that's good to know too, that, you know, we were talking in our last podcast, it's so hard to know what's going to happen with your yarn, like how much is it going to grow. So now you know Scout is not going to grow significantly.
No, it was really malleable, and it's 100% wool. I can't remember what type, but it's just a really, really nice fiber. I think that taught me that I just like working with wool a lot because it's so springy, which was really fun. So that's my finished object.
Yay!
Yeah, it was a good one.
Well, I have what I'm wearing.
Yeah. So
this was my second sweater, and I made it here at and thanks again to Megan for allowing us to film in Needlecraft Cottage, which we always forget to mention, but this is where we are. We're down in Pacific Beach in San Diego, 2 blocks from the beach. So if you're planning a trip to San Diego and you've got a beach trip in mind and you want to hang out on the boardwalk for a while and then you get bored, and walk on up 2 blocks and come to the Needlecraft Cottage. Yeah. So thank you, Megan, for letting us film. But anyway, they run a sweater class here. And so after my first sweater fiasco, with all the side lessons that I had to have, Megan suggested, why don't you come to the sweater class? We're doing a sweater class. And so this is called the Classic Tee by Darling J'adore, Jadore, or J'adore, I don't know.
Oh, that's not it.
We're trying to get the pattern up on, we have like 100 things open and a million tabs open in Ravelry because we wanted to have all of the patterns
I don't know if we have this one.
Whoopsies. All right. Anyway, it's the Classic Tee.
Yeah.
It's on Ravelry.
Yeah.
And I made it in Noro Kakigori, which I have to say, I love this yarn, and
it's really pretty.
Yeah,
really
it's soft. I mean, it's been washed quite a few times. The one thing I would say is this was an oversized sweater, and I've lost some weight, and so it's kind of a little bit more oversized than what I would typically wear, but it's so comfortable, I wear it all the time. And the only other thing is the spatially challenged thing, and the knitting lesson I learned for beginning knitters. This is the lesson that I learned. When you're doing short rows, especially in the beginning, you don't always notice when you come to your short row. You're supposed to notice, but you don't always notice. Especially with a yarn like this that's got all these different colors and flecks in it, and some of it's thin and some of it's thick. So you should put a little stitch marker, one of those little removable stitch marker that you can, as soon as you get to your short row and you knit to your short row and come back the other way, you can take it and move it to the next row. Then you won't forget and knit your short row clear around to the front of your sweater, which I have done here. And it's like, I got to the point where when I realized what I had done,
I wouldn't notice.
Well, I figured I'm not going to rip it out, because by that point in time, I was like down in the body. And if I have to, I'll be the Queen of England and wear a brooch on my sweater, and we'll hide it. And really, if you're standing this close to me that you notice it, get out of my personal space.
That's my favorite lesson from Deb, is if people are noticing your mistakes, they're in your personal space.
Yeah, really.
They need to back off.
So I really feel like it was a long knit, because once again, and this is me, not the pattern, but I'm going to stand up so you can see, I will not wear a shirt unless it comes down. I like tunic length. For me, it's like 29 inches from the back of my neck, 29 to 29 and a half. And it did grow a little bit. So I would say this yarn has a tendency to relax and grow a little bit. I could have knit it a little bit closer. And that's that fit issue that you're constantly figuring out as you go along.
It's hard to know sometimes what's
so
going to happen.
I was really happy with this, and I've worn it tons. It's very cool. It's a perfect sweater for San Diego. So I really, truly like this sweater. And the other thing that I learned knitting this was, when I came in, I kept saying to Megan, how far are we supposed to be? And she kept saying, it's not a race. And it's like, but how far are we supposed to be? And there were people that were on their sleeves, and I'm still up here at the neck trying to figure out my short rows, and so it truly isn't a race. And there will always be those fast continental knitters. I am not a continental knitter. I'm a English thrower person.
Me too.
And to me it was okay. So people will finish their sweater before you do. Big deal. Eventually you'll get your sweater finished, and it's something that I'm truly happy with.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great lesson. Let's straighten us out a little bit here.
Oops. Okay. And then I have another finished object. Well, okay, so after this, then I made the mistake of saying to my grandkids, Grammy knit, I knit a sweater for one of them, and then I was going to knit the second sweater, matching but in different colors. And it's called the Wallaby. It's stinking cutest sweater. I'll have to see if I can get a picture of it. And it looks like one of those,
like a hoodie sweatshirt.
A hoodie sweatshirt, like Jeff Spicoli and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That
really
front kangaroo pocket with the hoodie and the long sleeves is exactly what this Wallaby is. And I've seen it actually made up in like white cotton yarn, where it does look like a Spicoli.
And the boys look so cute in them,
too.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, I said to Brad, the youngest one, I'm going to make you a sweater just like Emmett. And he's like, I don't want a sweater. And well, what do you want? I want slippers. And it's like, what do you mean you want slippers? Like, I don't know how to knit slippers. I'm on sweater number 3 here. And no, Grammy, I want slippers. So I made him slippers. So, okay. You have to see, honestly, we've got to find this thing. We go to my notebook and we go to projects, because you have to see what these are supposed to look like. They are,
I think they're very cute.
oh my
Her
God,
version.
they're horrendous. Okay, do you see Brad's slippers? Brad's slippers.
There you go.
Okay. So, this pattern for this is called the Children's Teddy Bear Slipper Boots. Now, look at how cute, stinking cute these teddy bears are. And it's like, you would think it's not that much sewing, although I do have a sewing store. My mother, and this is one of those, bless her heart, made me take 1.5 years of clothing in high school. So she tortured me by putting me into a clothing class. And with my spatial ability, having to sew something inside out, upside down, and backwards.
It's hard.
Oh my gosh. I was always constantly sewing it the wrong way.
Yeah,
and
me too.
So
didn't land with me.
No. So anything that involves using a needle and doing any kind of needlework is traumatic to me still to this day. So anyway, I did Brad's slippers. We call them the Angry Bear slippers because, like, I worked really hard, but they don't match. One of the bears looks like he's going to eat you because he's angry, and the other one's just kind of like, ooh, I'm hanging out. But anyway, they turned out great. He's still wearing them because they were a little big when he first started. And the cool thing is we found this gluey stuff on Amazon. It's called non-slip, and it comes in like a tacky glue bottle, like, that shape of a bottle. And you just put these little dots on the bottom of your knitwear, and it is like those non-slip socks. And so they have wood floors in their house and wood stairs. And so we've done it. And this is after, 1.5 years of wearing them. And you can tell they've been, just thrashed. And so anyway, he still doesn't slip in these slippers. So for any knitter, if you didn't know about this stuff, it is wonderful. I'm sure probably Michael's or other stores sell this, but you can definitely order it off of Amazon, and you just plop it on, let it dry, and you're done. Yeah. So once his brother had slippers, then of course
the older
one needed slippers too. And this was actually the first slipper that I made, and I made the size way too big. And so I made his slippers, only he didn't want bears. He wanted snakes. So I had to freehand sewing snakes onto this. And of course we have to have venom coming out, of the snake's mouth, and then tried to do eyeballs. And this one's kind of a cyclops snake over here, but same thing. We put the non-sticky stuff on, and they, especially when they come spend the night at our house, because we do live right by the water, and it's cold. Yeah. It gets cold at night at our house, and we have wood floors as well. And so they'll bring them over and plop them on after their baths, and they are really happy with them. And I'm really happy with the way they turned out. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I highly recommend this pattern. It is a little tricky to do the seaming to get the bottom piece and the side piece together. I don't know if it's like, I just thought it was tricky because I had never done it before, but the instructions weren't super clear, but we figured it out. So anyway, those are finished objects from a while ago, but they are well-used finished objects. And then
very cute. I love those.
One more, which I am so super jazzed about. I talked last podcast about how much I love that Euro Baby yarn. And so I always, for some reason, I kept ordering 5 skeins of yarn to make baby blankets when I only needed 4. And so, me and numbers. And so I always had like one rando skein of the Euro Baby. And so this one was, I think, one of the twins, Emily's twins.
For our family friends.
And what Needlecraft Cottage has started doing is started a Tuesday charity knit from noon to 2. And one of the things that we're knitting for is called Mad Hatter Knits. And what they are is they're for the local hospital here, Sharp Mary Birch, and but they have hospitals all across the country. And the hospital tells you what size hats they want for the preemie babies in the NICU. And so I've been able to use this because it's a super wash and it's so super soft. And it makes these cute little hats. So I found like a little free pattern on Ravelry called Bruce Hat, and made these. And then yesterday's big moment of aha was I got a pom-pom maker.
So cute.
Which took me having to have 3 people explain to me how to do this, but you actually take it apart and take it apart.
Spatial moment.
I'm getting coached from across the room. Put it together. Wait. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. Take it apart. No. Put it.
Megan's off camera. She's going to help us out. But the pom-poms are cute. Check it out. Especially with that yarn. It's so cute.
Yes.
I love it.
I have to leave it together until after I cut it. Oh, okay. Now I remember. Yes, this was my problem when I was at home trying to figure this out. So you wrap the yarn around the little thing and then put this one in, and then wrap the yarn around this little thing and put this one in, and then you hold it together and then cut your yarn right here, and then tie it, and then you open the pom-pom maker up like this, and it just comes out.
Perfect.
And so it made the stinking cutest little pom-poms.
Cute. I love the color change in there too. So sweet.
Yeah,
this one's all purpley and gold. And it's the same yarn.
And it's the same yarn, yeah.
So fun.
So it's really fun. I really wish they wouldn't have discontinued this yarn, and you can get it still. Not a lot of the same color, but you can get like a rando skein if you want to make little hats. And so anyway, I'm really happy with the way these are turning out because I can whip one of these out in like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's great.
And these are actually more of the newborn size, but Sharp Mary Birch likes the newborn size for their preemies rather than the preemie hats, so that they can wear them longer and they can pull them down and shade their eyes with them when they're in the NICU.
Yeah, poor little things.
I know. And they just look cute with the oversize.
That's so cute. And then they can wear it out of the hospital.
Yes.
That's a nice memory too.
They said it becomes kind of like part of their story for longer.
That's so nice.
Than a preemie hat would. So anyway, so if you are new to knitting and or you think, who am I going to make a bunch of stuff for? There are people out there that need knitted garments, and so there are people to knit for, and definitely preemie babies are definitely knit worthy in my book.
For sure. Yes.
Anyway, so that was my end of my finished objects.
Nice. Are we on to whips?
Whips.
Okay. So my whips, I have 2. My the one that I showed last episode, which is the baby sweater I'm making for my daughter, which is very exciting to say. So I'm working on this. This is the Aosta cardigan.
You're almost done.
Baby cardigan. Yeah, I'm getting pretty close. Aosta baby cardigan, which is so cute. It also comes in a pullover with 3 little buttons to get their big baby heads in.
That was cute.
And then there are various patterns for adults too. I think there's an adult pullover and cardigan as well. So I really recommend. It's really, really a fun one. And a simple enough pattern that's not too intimidating. But aside from that one, I cast on a sweater that I'm actually going to frog. So I'll explain. So this is currently the start of the Mia sweater, where did I put that one? Oh, here it is. The Mia sweater by Cheryl Mokhtari. It's really pretty. I really like this sweater. It's a raglan, but it has parallel lines that run to the raglan so that it makes the raglan look like it's not necessarily only functional. It's also part of the design. And then that same idea kind of continues along the ribbing at the bottom. It's just really pretty. However, I started this sweater for my sister in this green color. This is Spruce by Ritual Dyes, which is in Portland, Oregon. And it's 100% wool. It's really springy and fun to work with. I had bought this yarn originally with a sweater for myself in mind, but then I thought about it and I was like, I don't know that I want a sweater that color as much as my sister does. And I was kind of in between projects, so I thought, okay, I'll cast on something for her. However, I realized because she's having a baby in June, she lives in Portland, Oregon, where it's cold enough to wear a sweater most of the time. I thought, if she's about to be breastfeeding, a pullover is not necessarily ideal, She could manage it, but she'd probably get more wear out of a cardigan. So I think I'm going to frog this, save that pattern for something in the future because I like it so much. And instead I'll make the Eva cardigan by Petite Knit. This one's hard to see because it's in navy, but it's really pretty. It's a V-neck, just a shallow V-neck though. It's not really deep. Cardigan with a double knit 2x2 ribbing down the button band. And it's just simple, but it's not boring. I think it looks really classy and it's something you could wear for a long time. And so I think my sister would like that instead, but I don't know when I'll cast that on. So I'm just going to kind of put this aside for now and get to that eventually. But I think it'll be nice. And I'll probably choose buttons similar to these like she has actually on the example. And it'll look really pretty in the Pacific Northwest forest. It'll be really nice up there.
She'll blend in.
Yeah, exactly.
Camouflage.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that'll be a good, I don't know. Her birthday's in November and then there's Christmas. So this birthday, Christmas cycle or the next one, we'll see. Got some time to work on that. Yeah. What about you?
I have, it's kind of like half of an FO. It's called the pressed flowers socks. And I had originally made, for Jen's mom, a pressed flower cowl. And I truly, truly like this pattern. I never thought I would. When it first came out, I was kind of like, oh, okay, it's flowers.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love to knit it. I really like mosaic knitting. To me, there's something about it's relaxing. It does take a while though, because I feel like it takes you 4 rows to do what you normally do in 2, just because of the way you have to do the mosaic knitting. But it was my second attempt at an afterthought heel, which I went to a knitting retreat and they said, if you've put a placeholder in, it's not a true afterthought heel because it's not an afterthought. You've planned for where the heel's supposed to go. I'm like, okay, well.
Sounds scary not to.
Yeah, I think I need the planning. Yeah. So anyway, it was my second attempt at it and I was able to do it. I was like so proud of myself that it turned out, because I had my first ever sock. I tried it and poor Megan, I thought she was going to rip her hair out. And she said, she very gently pushed me to the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla sock pattern, which I truly, highly recommend, because not only is it well written and well explained, she has videos for every single, and I swear Megan did this so that I did not have to come into the shop every 10 minutes when I couldn't figure the section out. But she has videos for every part of the sock, and she knits it both continental and English, I think. And
in the round and
DPNs.
And magic loop.
Yes.
So many variations.
And so you can watch the tutorial. And so I got really confident. Last year I made socks for my family for Christmas. So everybody got, except for the grandkids, I didn't quite get theirs done. But my daughter got socks, my husband got socks, my son-in-law got socks. And so that kind of gave me the confidence, okay, I've got the vanilla pattern down, I can try something that's a little different. Mm-hmm. And so since I did enjoy knitting that press flower cardigan or cowl so much for your mom, I thought I would try the sock. And it's Apple Fiber Studios sock yarn, and the white with flex is just something I had in my stash. So I just, it's kind of a color changing yarn, and I thought it would work well for the pressed flower sock. So
it really shows off the variation in the contrast yarn too. It's really pretty. And
the thing that I like about the apple fiber too is that even though it's a solid, it's got a little bit of variegation in it, and I just think it looks pretty with this pattern with the variegation. Yeah. So I've got one sock done, so it's half a finished object, but it's still a whip because I have not cast on the second sock, and normally I immediately cast it on, and I kind of got second sock-itis for once, and so I do need to get this on the needles because I'd like to wear them because I feel like they're great spring socks, and I honestly don't kill us. Remember, our friend Lockie used to always wear socks with her Birkenstocks, and I honestly feel like these could almost pull off the sock Birkenstock thing. So
either that or clear jellies, right? Something that you can see through. Clear clogs, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Cinderella glass high heels.
Exactly. Yes. Uh-huh.
So anyway, but this is my whip. And I have, like I said, I have a bazillion lingering whips at home, but if I haven't worked on it, it's not worth bringing it in.
It'll make it here eventually as an FO.
Yes. Hello. So we're at the part of the podcast where we say, help, fix my object, or can you fix my object? So today I want to bring in something that already has a fix. I went down a deep dive at Christmas into the Oslo hat pattern by Petite Knit, which I think we have a picture of somewhere. Let's see, press flowers. There, Oslo hat. And because I thought, okay, it's my first hat to make, and it's all stockinette. So it's like, how hard can it be? It's stockinette. Well, I would recommend it, kind of. I have a couple qualifications for you, for any knitter, and especially a beginning knitter. And that is, it is a really kind of easy pattern to follow until you get to the part where you have to stitch the band together. You actually knit, this is like a double knit band right here, and the rest of it is single knit. And you can see you stitch this together and you turn your work. So what was the outside is now the inside. And it's very, very hard to go around a hat like this and pick up the exact number of stitches and keep it lined up so that you don't have little lumps and bumps and that it's straight, because you don't want to mess up the brim. And it will look messed up if you don't have it exactly straight. So that is my reservation, one of my reservations on the Oslo hat. It's written very clearly. It's very easy to follow. However, one of the things that a lot of other people have written, and you'll see on threads on Ravelry if you go look at the Oslo hat, the sizing seems to be off. So some adults make the youth-sized hats for themselves, especially if your head is small. So I made Oslo hats for everybody in my family. I made it for my daughter, her husband, my husband, and the two grandkids. And Okay, so this one's on me. This this is my 6-year-old grandson's hat, and it turned out, wonderfully. Everything's great. It does have a few little poofy things here. This was one of the first one that I did, I believe, was for my daughter, and I came in and cried, and Megan stitched the hat together for me. So she already did the help fix my knit on that one. But so then I was determined, okay, well, if I'm going to keep making these for everybody in the family, I've got to learn how to do this. And I think this was my second one, because you can see there's a few little places where I didn't quite get it straight. And by the time I had done, Brad's, I was a pro at this. I could do this, and did their dad's. So I got it all down, did it, but even though I did the child size 2, which is, I measured their heads, I had gauge, I actually had to go up a needle size to get gauge, because I'm a very tight knitter, so usually for most patterns I go up 1 needle size. And I knit it exactly what it called for. And it looked like the measurements were exact to the child size 2. And then I blocked it. And once again, I think it's that some yarns relax more in the blocking process. And so he tried it on at Christmas, and it's coming down over his eyes. And it's like, well, you can only put the brim back so far, or you run into this ugly stitching that you don't want to see. So what am I going to do so that he can actually wear his hat? So Megan came up with the genius idea, because I came in and said, what in the world should I do? She ran some elastic inside, and we were able to actually tie it a little bit tighter, and that helps hold it on his head. And so it's still a little big on him. I think it'll fit him better next year. And we're getting out of our cold weather, and snow in the mountains and anything where he would want to wear it. So it'll be perfect for him next year. Well, this okay. It's not that I really was spatially challenged. It's that I was giving out Halloween candy, and I kept putting the hat down. And so when I would come back to knit, I would just keep knitting away and knitting away. And so his 4-year-old brother, this is his 4-year-old brother's hat. And so it does fit him a little bit better in the brim. And these hats are Amano yarns, Warmi, Warmi, and Emmett's is the color 626, and Brad's is the color 624. He's the kid that can get away with one of those slouchy hats. So he's kind of like one of those. His brother cannot. His brother needs a tight-fitting beanie. But Brad can get away with the slouch coming off the back, and he looks like a little skater kid. And so it's actually kind of cute on him, and I'm glad that it's like this. But he wants a pom-pom, so now that I have my pom-pom maker, I can add a pom-pom to his Oslo hat. But once again, what we did was just slip the elastic inside the brim of the Oslo hat, and then you can have them put it on and tie it to where you want it to be. And I just tied it with a double knot, and then they were able to wear it and keep it out of their eyes because they were having issues. And then I did my daughters and did little penny gloves. I had some plain colored yarn that matched. This is Madeline Tosh vintage in Kauai. And so I had some plain background color that matched, and I did her little penny gloves with the speckled on the hands, but I couldn't find them to bring in. But same thing. If you noticed, like this was an adult, I believe, an adult second size, because the first size was looked like it was going to be way too small. I measured her head, and I don't know if it's just the gauge. I don't know, but I got gauge again. So it's like I really did measure and count, and I had gauge. So I'm not quite sure why the Oslo hat pattern does this. Now, Mark's actually fits. I didn't bring my husband's in. which I think I made in Scout, and
I
his
think so.
fits the best
That's right.
because I made it in Scout, and that
green.
yarn,
Yeah,
that
it's
yarn
really
does
pretty.
not really grow.
Yeah.
But Mark's relaxed a little bit too, but his does fit the best out of the whole family. And you can tell it just doesn't look like it grew as much as these other hats. And I made his a little bit bigger just because he has a larger head size. So I guess I recommend this pattern for a beginning knitter because it is just lovely, lovely rows of stockinette and very simple. And the decreases at the crown, it's very clearly explained how to decrease at the crown and how to bring it together. And it's a very well written pattern. I would just say be really careful of your gauge. If you are worried about your yarn growing at all, possibly go down one size because I really feel like there's a lot of give in this hat. And I think you can get away with a smaller size, one smaller size, and have the hat still fit the person. And you can always measure too, like if they have a beanie already that they like that fits them, measure it and then see what it's going to be like on the Oslo hat. But if you're looking for a nice hat, give it a try. Okay. So this was Help Fix My Knit, and Megan did by figuring out the elastic trick, because the boys wouldn't be able to have worn them at all this year without the elastic. Okay.
On to fantasy knits.
Okay.
This is my favorite section. You have to explain.
Okay. So when we're saying fantasy knits, we're not saying it like fantasy football, which is what someone just said in the store. Oh, do we get to bet on if you're ever really going to make that garment or not?
You can bet, but you'll lose your money.
But what we considered is they're kind of like aspirational knits. And some of them I actually do have yarn for, so I need to get that aspiration because I bought the yarn. And some of them are a pattern that just caught my eye and I thought, that is so cool. Like I would really wear that if I had that, but I don't know if I would ever actually
do it.
Knit it. Yes. And then the other one was Ask a Designer too, but I don't think we have any of those this week. I think it's just fantasy knits.
Fantasy, yeah.
So you want to start?
Sure. So I have two fantasy knits this week. The first one is, I think, really well known, and that is the
here, let me get these Oslo
Beekeeper's
hats.
Quilt, and it's made of these tiny little hexagons that are then filled with batting, whatever it's called, so that it's like puffy, right? And I just think it's the cutest little quilt and looks so cottagey and cozy. And I've seen people make like just couch covers out of them. Some people make full blankets. Others, like somebody made a cute little cat bed for their windowsill and things. I think they're so adorable, but for me, it's more fantasy than will ever be actually knit, because it's, as far as I know, it's made out of fingering weight yarn, and I don't really love knitting socks, or things out of fingering weight, because I feel like it takes forever. So, but it looks cute if you get like variegated yarns and things. So for me, I feel like I don't have enough in stash, and I wouldn't want to buy yarn for this project. I just want to use what's in my remnants. And also, the thing that makes it very much only a fantasy is the fact that it would take me probably my entire lifetime to accumulate enough of these little hexagons. I think you'd have to be really disciplined, and like every time you finished a project, make a few of these hexagons, right? Or like dedicate, Wednesday nights when I'm watching British Murder or whatever, make hexagons or whatever it is. But I think it's too long term for me. But it looks so cute, and I'm sure it would be amazing. I have seen somebody made a pillow cover, which I thought, okay, I could probably do that. But That's probably not something I'll ever
Especially
actually
if it
finish.
was only a one-sided pillow
Yes,
cover and
which
you
it
had
was.
something else on the back.
Yeah, just cute fabric. Yeah, it was very cute. So maybe
that would be doable.
Possibly, yeah. And then my other fantasy knit is the Nocturnal Jumper by the Petite Knitter, not to be confused with Petite Knit. This is just such a fun color work pattern that has a rising moon with a black cat in front of it. And I just think it's so cute and just so cozy for fall, which it's not right now. It's spring. But it's really impractical for where we live. We live in San Diego, and this is made of heavier, woollier yarns to get that really like rustic feel to it.
And for the color work.
And it's like 90 degrees often on Halloween in San Diego. Like they make, these fleece Halloween costumes for kids across the country, and San Diegan children are just sweating to death in them.
Melissa was a Dalmatian.
Yeah, a fleece Dalmatian. Yeah, it was not fun for her. And so I would love to have this. I would love to make this. Maybe I'll make it someday and just have it, but I would never have an opportunity to wear it unless I were to travel at Halloween, which I don't think I really ever would. But it's just so cute and it's so cozy, and I don't know. I like the fall. I feel like a standard millennial when I say that. I love my pumpkin spice, whatever, and things. But I feel like fall is so exciting because it's when the holidays are beginning, and so it would be so fun to have like a fall themed sweater. But it's hot here.
Okay, and once again, let's talk about our Jedi Padawan learner. Okay. I actually have taken 2 color work classes. Yep. And the first one I completely failed. No, remember that first one when all we were supposed to do was make a checkerboard. It took me 4 attempts and 2 color work classes to finally get a checkerboard because I kept doing chevrons or anything else because I couldn't figure it out.
Accidental chevrons.
Yeah, accidental chevrons. And then I went to a cowl and I took an online class, which I truly highly recommend if you want to learn from an online class. MDK, Modern Daily Knitting, their online classes are phenomenal. And this woman changed my world because I was trying to hold yarn with 2 hands like all the real people do, and
the real knitters.
And
as if you're not.
She said, oh, you can just drop the thread as long as you have your one thread going to the top and the other one goes toward the bottom, because one is going to be dominant over the other and you have to keep it the same through the way out. But the woman who designed the pattern actually does that. That's how she knits color work. And I'm like, oh, she's a color work design knitter, and she drops her thread every single time.
Yeah.
But okay, we're talking a cowl. Yeah. And you, the Padawan, comes up with, I'm going to do a color work sweater for my first project.
Like in 10 years. Someday, yeah. I would start probably with a cowl. I also want to make the halibut sweater someday. I think that's pretty. And I think there's a cowl and a hat
for the halibut one now.
I'd probably start with something like that. Yeah, that one's. And I also don't have any need for that, but I like it.
But I think you guys, like as a family, could have like halibut sweaters.
I could definitely make it for my Pacific Northwest family.
Yes.
They could wear that for sure.
And they have a family house that's up in Cannon Beach, Oregon. So there are places you could wear a halibut. Yeah. Keep it up there at the beach house.
Leave it there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so was that all for you?
Yeah, those are my 2 fantasy knits for this episode.
So my first fantasy knit should not be a fantasy knit because I actually bought the yarn. And so since I have the yarn, it should come out of fantasy and into reality. Let me see if I can find it. We have all the tabs open.
Out of your fantasy yarn closet.
Yeah, out of my fantasy yarn closet. Yes, I have.
Like Narnia.
Yes, I have a bazillion things in my fantasy yarn closet that need to get used. But I'm not finding it right now, but it is Andrea Mowry's Trinigan. And okay, would you?
Yeah.
I bought a kit that has all of the Spin Cycle yarn in it. It's Dream State in the, I don't know how to say it, trine, and it's also Dream State is one of them, and a trine is the other. And it is a longer kind of open cardigan, kimono-y type garment. And yes, and I bought the exact color that she made, of course, because I am a copycat.
So beautiful.
And I just think this is stunning. I want it so badly, but I have to knit it. And so, but I really want it.
It's such a wear for your lifetime piece,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And I really feel like it's me. I mean,
Yes,
like
I do
when
too.
I look at it, I think, okay, yeah, I would have gone into a store and bought that in a heartbeat,
Yes.
because it is totally me. So this needs to come out of fantasy life and come into reality life. And I think maybe I'm ready for it, because I do feel like much more confident about using color changing yarn, doing mosaic knitting now since I've done the press flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And I have yarn to do a press flower for my daughter. And I'm going to do either the smaller shawl or it's kind of like a bandana scarf. And I bought the yarn for that. And so I figure by the time I've done the press flowers cowl, I will finish my socks. And if I do Amy's shawl for her birthday, then I will have done enough mosaic knitting that I think I can take that on.
Definitely. The pressed flowers turned out really nicely too. So
yeah. So
that's so gorgeous.
That one is, I think, a good one. Then my other one is, and I don't know, Jen, I might have to have you get this one for me too if we've lost the
Lost the tab.
It's called the Mini Missimi.
Okay.
Mini Missimi. All
Okay.
one word. Mini, like MINI, and then like Missoni, but it's Missimi.
Okay.
MISSIMI.
Okay.
And it's another sweater coat. I don't know what it is about me and sweater coats, but I mean, look at this gorgeousness. Okay, I've only done cables once, and it was 2 little teeny tiny cables on a fingerless mitt. But I somehow think in my mind that I can take on this giant,
I think you could.
Giant cabled everywhere,
I
long,
take that fantasy knitting bet.
long coat. And even the front, I mean, the cables go
gorgeous.
Across the back of the neck. They go all over the front. It's got this major, okay, come on. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's got like this asymmetrical thing going on with toggles, and of course, you know, we all know how great I am at counting stitches and doing any kind of knitting, so of course something that's asymmetrical,
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. For any of us, that's a great
it
idea.
should
Yeah.
just be right up my alley. So
Megan's gonna fall ill at home the night you begin this project and not know what's going on.
She's gonna ban me from the shop.
She's gonna be like, I sense something bad is happening in the knitting world.
Something bad's happening in the force. I think Dad passed on. Oh my God. But anyway, this is why we have the fantasy knitting. And of course, this is like in my favorites in Ravelry. I haven't bought the pattern. I'm not that silly, but it's in my favorites in Ravelry, and I go look at it. And there's another cable one that I wanted to show, but I don't think it was available on Ravelry. So I'll have that one for next time, which is another all over cable one, and it's knit sideways to make it even more difficult.
So gorgeous, though. I know which one you mean. That's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that I feel like while I'm knitting stockinette Oslo hats, which is, there's nothing wrong with it, nothing against the petite knitter, nothing against the Oslo hat, there's this fantasy knitting thing inside me that says, you need to do that.
The cables are calling.
Yeah, the cables are calling. You need to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's true. You have to have your palette cleanser. I know I can do this. Not a lot of problems projects. And then those that kind of stretch you a little bit, you know, because then you can produce the things you want to wear, right? Yeah. That's so fun.
And unfortunately, I mean, I do like some things that are classic, but I have always been a complicated pattern, or, you know, it's got to have something interesting in all the knitwear I've ever bought. I mean, you know, I have my basic V-necks, you know, and stuff that I bought. And so it's got to have something cool now, because I mean, I'm
if you're going to put all that
65.
time into it.
Well, and I'm 65. How many V-neck sweaters can one person own? You know, you've got a lot. So, so it's got to be something that's different. So for me, it's either different in the yarn and or different, I'm learning a technique, or different, it's just, I've never seen anybody wear anything like this.
Right.
And so for me, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But so that's the end of my fantasy knits. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully later on this summer or early fall, we'll see the Trinnigan actually go onto the needles.
Someday one of the fantasies will become reality.
Oh, wait till you see the yarn that I have. Well, I can't even say it. I don't want to do a spoiler. Yeah. don't want to do a spoiler. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for Fantasy Knits today, and we're on to questions and shop.
Hi everybody, this is our shop update for the beginning of May at Needlecraft Cottage. We wanted to showcase the emotional support chicken that I just made by Annette Corsino. I just forgot the name. But I made her, and we've dubbed her Petunia. That's what everybody has decided to call her. But I made her out of scrap yarn that I had left over, from my Bohemian Scrapsody that we did during the first quarter sweater club. Our second quarter sweater club is going on now. We've got 2 patterns, 2 vests. One is by Joji Locatelli, and it is the Adriana, I think. And the other one is a crocheted vest. Super easy, really cute, like little kind of boho vest. Both are listed online under our classes and events, and you can see them there if you want to sign up. There's still time to sign up. But anyway, so yes, you can see kind of the resemblance. I chose more of the purples and blues for her body, and then some of the oranges for the rings and everything. So yeah, that's my emotional support chicken that I made this month. We also still have our Mother's Day promotion going on. Remember, Mother's Day is May 12th. You can buy Mom a beautiful yarn bouquet. We can put it together for you, or you could pick out yarns for yourself. And if you don't know what Mom wants, we do have gift cards with these cute little crocheted envelopes you can attach it into. We ship anywhere. If you don't have a local yarn shop near you, we would love to be your local yarn shop. We ship anywhere in the US. Gift cards are good online too.
Let's end with another Knitting in the Wild. Hi everybody. This is my Padre sock. It goes to the games with me in this little bag with just a little pencil and the pattern and the rest of the yarn. And I want you to see what I'm going to have to rip out before I can take it to the game today, because I had joined back in the round after making my heel flap and gusset, but for some unknown reason, I put the little triangle-y thing of the heel flap at the very, very top of the gusset. So like this sock is so random. It's like a giant could not wear this sock. I don't know what I did or how I did it, but I have to rip out so that when I get to the game, I don't have to pay attention to anything that I'm doing, and I can just reknit the heel flap and gusset, and then I'll come home and do the turn and then just get back to knitting in the round and stockinette. So I just wanted to show you my latest epic spatial fail and let you know what I'm gonna have to do to fix this so I can bring this and knit at the Padre game tonight. Okay, talk to you later.
Yeah. There you go. Hey, there you go. That's how it works.